Millionaire forgets 5-year-old son's birthday, but freezes upon seeing the cleaner with the cake. Richard Thompson arrived home after yet another meeting that ran past 9 in the evening, ignoring the dozens of missed calls from his secretary. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the entry hall of his mansion in Beverly Hills as he loosened the Italian tie that had cost more than most people's monthly salary. That's when he heard a soft voice coming from the living room. As he turned the corner, he came face to face with a scene that left him completely paralyzed. There was Esther, the cleaner who had worked in his home for 5 years, holding a small homemade cake with 5 lit candles. Beside her, his son Timmy was crying while clinging to her legs, still wearing his school clothes. "What's going on here?" asked Richard, confused. Esther stared at him with a mixture of compassion and disappointment that he had never seen in those gentle eyes. "Today is Timmy's birthday, Mr. Thompson, 5 years old. He's been waiting for you to come home to blow out the candles." The businessman felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. The birthday. How had he forgotten again? He looked at the gold watch on his wrist and realized it was already past 9:30 at night. "Timothy, son, he began to say, but the child pulled away even further, hiding his face in Esther's legs. "I don't want to talk to Daddy," murmured the boy, his voice muffled by tears. Richard approached, trying to control the situation as he did in his business dealings, but there, before his hurt son and Esther's calm but firm gaze, his words seemed to carry no weight. "Timmy, Daddy had a very important meeting. You know Daddy works to give you all the best, right?" "I didn't want anything best," replied the boy, raising his tear-reddened eyes. "I just wanted Daddy to remember." Esther knelt down to the child's level, her caring voice filling the awkward silence. "Come on, my sweetheart. Let's blow out the candles and make your wish. Mrs. Esther made your favorite cake, chocolate with strawberry frosting. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." Richard watched the scene, a strange feeling of displacement coming over him. It was as if he were watching his own life from the outside, realizing for the first time that he was a stranger in his own home. The simple woman in her light blue uniform and hair tied in a bun knew his son's preferences better than he did. "How did you know he likes chocolate cake?" he asked, genuinely curious. Esther looked at him with a patience he didn't deserve. "Timmy tells me everything, sir. Every day when he comes home from school, he comes to the kitchen and talks with me while I prepare his snack. He's a very affectionate and smart child." "He talks to you?" The question came out more surprised than Richard intended to show. "Yes, he does. About school, his little friends, the cartoons he likes to watch. He told me he's going to be in a school play next week. He's going to play a little fish." Richard felt a tightness in his chest. His son was going to be in a school play and he knew nothing about it. How many other important things had he missed? "Timmy," he called softly. "You didn't tell me about the play." The boy looked at him with an expression that broke the father's heart. "I tried to tell you, Daddy, but you're always on the phone." It was true. Richard tried to remember the last time he'd had a real conversation with his son without being distracted by emails, calls, or documents. The memory refused to come. Esther lit the candles again that had gone out during the conversation. Her hands, calloused from housework, were delicate as they held the matchsticks. "Come here, my little one. Now you blow out the candles and make your wish." Timmy approached the cake, but before blowing, he looked at his father. "Daddy, do you want to make a wish with me?" Richard knelt beside his son, feeling for the first time in a long while that he was where he should be. Together they blew out the 5 colorful candles that Esther had placed with such care. "What did you wish for, son?" "I can't tell you, or it won't come true," replied Timmy, but soon added in a whisper, "But it has to do with Daddy." Esther began cutting the cake into generous slices, her skill in the kitchen evident in every movement. Richard realized he had never seen her work like this, with so much love and dedication. "Esther, did you do all this by yourself?" "Of course, Mr. Thompson. I left work early yesterday to buy the ingredients. Timmy helped me choose the recipe. He said he wanted a cake, just like Grandma's. Grandma's? Richard was confused. My mother passed away when he was 2. No, Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Jennifer's mother. She came here a few weeks ago when you were traveling. Timmy was delighted with the cake she brought. Richard realized there was one more thing he didn't know. His mother-in-law had visited the house and he hadn't even known. Jennifer, his wife, was always traveling for work, and when she was home, they barely spoke beyond practical family matters. Where is Jennifer again? Business trip to Washington, D.C., Mr. Thompson. She only returns on Thursday. So Jennifer had also forgotten their son's birthday? Or perhaps she had left it in his hands to organize something, and he had failed once again. Timmy ate his piece of cake with obvious pleasure, smearing his fingers on the strawberry frosting. Aunt Esther, this cake is tastier than Grandma's, said the boy, smiling for the first time that evening. Aunt Esther, repeated Richard. That's what he calls me, Mr. Thompson, since he was little. I told him to call me Mrs. Esther, but he insisted on Aunt. There was an intimacy there that Richard didn't know. His own son had formed emotional bonds with the housekeeper, while he, the father, was practically a stranger. Esther, may I ask a personal question? Of course, Mr. Thompson. Do you have children? For a moment, a shadow passed over the woman's eyes. She continued arranging the cake dishes before answering. I have a daughter, Mr. Thompson. Or rather, I had. The silence that followed was heavy. Richard realized he had touched on a painful subject. I'm sorry, I didn't know. No need to apologize, Mr. Thompson. It's part of life. My Grace passed away 3 years ago. Cancer. She was 25. Timmy stopped eating and looked at Esther with teary eyes. Is that why you get sad sometimes, Auntie? Sometimes I do, my angel. But taking care of you makes me happy. You remind me so much of her when she was little. Richard felt a wave of emotion he hadn't expected. Esther had lost her daughter and found comfort in caring for his. How many times had he noticed if she was sad or happy? How many times had he asked about her personal life? Esther, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Life teaches us that we must move forward, and Timmy has helped me a lot with that. The boy got up from his chair and hugged Esther around the waist. I love you, Aunt Esther. I love you too, my little one. Richard watched the exchange of affection between the two and felt a pang of something he couldn't define. Jealousy, regret, or perhaps it was the first time he truly saw what he was missing. Richard's work phone began to ring. Instinctively he stood up to answer, but stopped when he saw Timmy's look. Is it work, Daddy? Yes, son, but are you going to talk about boring stuff again, sir? Richard looked at the phone, then at his son, then at Esther, who was quietly observing the scene. It was an important call, he knew that. His partners were waiting for an answer about the merger with an American company. But there in that moment, for the first time in years, something inside him screamed louder than the need to answer. He turned off the phone. Not today, son. Today is your birthday. Timmy's eyes lit up in a way Richard hadn't seen in a long time. Esther smiled discreetly as she finished setting the table. Really, Daddy? You're not going to work? Really? How about you tell me about that little school play? For the next hour, Richard discovered a world he knew nothing about. Timmy told him about the school play, about his friends, about the teacher he adored, about the new cartoon he was watching. And the more the boy talked, the more Richard realized how much he had missed. Daddy, do you want to see my room? I moved everything around. Of course I do. They went up together to the second floor of the house. Timmy's room was spacious and well decorated, full of expensive toys Richard had bought in moments of quick guilt. But it was what was on the wall that caught his attention. There were colorful drawings stuck all over, drawings of family, of school, of animals. In all of them, where the father figure should be, there was just an empty space or a figure with its back turned. Who made all these drawings, son? I did. Aunt Esther said I draw very well and put them all on the wall so I could see them. And why is Daddy always with his back turned in the drawings? Timmy thought for a moment, with the typical honesty of children. Because that's how I always see Daddy. with his back turned, leaving or talking on the phone? The answer hit Richard like a punch in the stomach. He sat on his son's bed, pulling him close. "Son, Daddy is so sorry for not being around. I work so much because I want to give you the best. But I don't want things, Daddy. I want you." In that moment, Richard understood something that all the MBA courses in the world hadn't been able to teach him. Success without family wasn't success at all. "Timmy, from now on it's going to be different, I promise." Daddy always promises and then forgets. The boy's honesty hurt more than any criticism Richard had ever received in business. He hugged his son tightly, feeling tears in his eyes for the first time in years. "Then I'll prove it with actions, not words. How about if tomorrow we go to the park?" "Really? Really? No phone, no work? Just you and me?" Timmy hugged his father with so much enthusiasm, he almost knocked him off the bed. "Can I ask Aunt Esther to come with us?" The question surprised Richard. It was natural that the boy would want to include Esther. After all, she was a constant and caring presence in his life. "Of course, if she wants to." When they went down to the living room, they found Esther finishing washing the dishes from the cake. She had put the rest away in a container and left everything tidy. "Aunt Esther, Daddy said tomorrow we're going to the park and you can come with us." Esther looked at Richard, surprised. "Mr. Thompson, you don't have to trouble yourself with me." "It's no trouble, Esther. Timmy is right. You are part of the family." They were the most sincere words Richard had spoken in a long time. Esther smiled, and he noticed how her smile completely transformed her face. "It would be an honor, sir. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing." Richard's phone started ringing again. This time it was Jennifer calling from Washington, D.C. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" Richard looked at Timmy, who was playing on the floor with some toys, and at Esther, who was finishing tidying up the kitchen. "Jennifer, do you remember what today is?" "Today, it's Tuesday. Why?" "It's our son's birthday." The silence on the other end of the line was long and awkward. "My God, Richard, how could I forget? I've been so busy with this project that—" "How is he? Is he very upset?" "He was. Esther made a cake for him, and we celebrated here at home." "Esther? The cleaning lady?" "Yes. And Jennifer, I need to talk to you when you get back. About us? About our family. Is everything all right? You sound strange." "Everything is fine now, but it needs to stay that way." After hanging up, Richard watched the scene before him. Timmy had convinced Esther to sit on the floor with him to put together a puzzle. The two were talking softly and laughing together. It was a simple scene, but full of genuine affection. "Esther, can I ask you one more question?" "Of course, Mr. Thompson. Why do you care so much about Timmy?" Esther stopped fitting the puzzle pieces and looked at the boy tenderly. "When I lost my grace, Mr. Thompson, I thought I would never be able to take care of a child again. But when I started working here and saw Timmy, still so little, always alone, always waiting for you to come home, I think my mother's heart couldn't stay indifferent. And you never said anything. It wasn't my place, Mr. Thompson, but I always hoped you would realize the treasure you have at home." Richard joined them on the floor, something he had never done before. The puzzle had 1,000 pieces and showed a picture of a park with children playing. "Daddy, do you know how to do puzzles?" "It's been a long time since I've done one, son. Will you teach me?" For the next hour, the three of them put the puzzle together. Richard discovered that his son had impressive patience and concentration for a 5-year-old. He also noticed how good Esther was with Timmy, always encouraging and helping without doing it for him. "Aunt Esther, tell Daddy about the day you taught me how to make brigadeiro." "Oh, that was a special day," said Esther, smiling. "Timmy came home from school very sad because a little friend had said he didn't know how to do anything in the kitchen, so I decided to teach him how to make brigadeiro." "And I made a giant brigadeiro," added Timmy, making exaggerated gestures. "Almost giant," corrected Esther, laughing. "But it was delicious." Richard realized he had missed this special moment too. How many others had happened without him knowing? "Timmy, did you save any brigadeiro for Daddy?" No, Daddy. You came home late and we had already eaten it all. But Aunt Esther said we could make more another day. How about we make Brigadeiro on Sunday? All three of us. All three of us. Esther looked at the clock on the living room wall. Mr. Thompson, it's getting late. Timmy needs to go to sleep because he has school tomorrow. You're right. Come on, son. Let's go brush your teeth. Aunt Esther always helps me brush my teeth. Then let's all go together. In the bathroom, Richard observed the nighttime routine that Esther had established with Timmy. She knew exactly how the boy liked to brush his teeth, which pajamas he preferred, which story he wanted to hear before bed. Daddy, will you read me the story tonight? Of course, son. Which story do you want? The one about the little duck who got lost from his mommy. Esther brought the book and sat in a chair in the corner of the room, while Richard lay down next to his son on the bed. It had been years since he had done that. As he read, Richard noticed how Timmy paid attention to every word, how he asked questions about the story, how he snuggled up to his father. It was a moment of pure connection that he had missed countless times because he was too busy to notice. Daddy, will the little duck find his mommy? Yes, son. In the end of the story, he always finds her. Just like in my little play. I'm going to be a little fish who gets lost, but in the end I find my family. And when is this little play? Friday morning. Aunt Esther said she'll try to come watch. Richard looked at Esther, who smiled timidly. If Mr. Thompson allows it, of course. Esther, you don't need to ask permission for these things. You're part of Timmy's family. And on Friday we'll both be there to watch you, son. Really, Daddy? Really? Timmy fell asleep with a smile on his face, holding his father's hand. Richard stayed there for a few minutes watching his son's calm breathing, feeling a peace he hadn't experienced in years. When they left the room, Esther was getting ready to leave. Esther, wait. I want to talk with you. They sat in the living room where the remains of the small birthday party were still visible. Esther, today I realized something I should have realized a long time ago. You know my son better than I do. Mr. Thompson, I spend more time with him. It's not just that. You truly care about him. You love him as if he were your own son. Esther lowered her eyes, emotional. It's true, Mr. Thompson, I can't help it. He's a special child. And you're a special person. Esther, I want to make a proposal to you. A proposal? I want you to be more than our housekeeper. I want you to be, well, I don't exactly know what to call it. A second mother to Timmy? A godmother in spirit? Mr. Thompson, I don't understand. Esther, today I realized I was losing my son. And you were helping him not to get completely lost. I want you to keep doing that. But officially, with more time, with more responsibility. But Mr. Thompson, You're not just anything, Esther. You're the person who remembered my son's birthday when I forgot. You're the one who knows his likes, his fears, his dreams. You're the one who was here when I wasn't. Esther began to cry silently. Mr. Thompson, ever since I lost my daughter, taking care of Timmy has been my joy. But I never imagined. So do you accept? I accept, Mr. Thompson, but on one condition. Tell me. You have to be present. Truly. It's no use me being here if the father isn't here too. Richard extended his hand to Esther. Agreed. They sealed the agreement with a handshake that meant much more than any contract Richard had ever signed. Esther, can I ask one more personal question? Of course, Mr. Thompson. Your daughter, what was she like? Esther's face lit up. Grace was just like Timmy, full of life, curious about everything, caring toward everyone. She wanted to be a teacher, you know. She loved children. She would be proud to see how you care for Timmy. I think she would, Mr. Thompson. Sometimes I talk to her up in heaven and tell her how Timmy is growing up handsome and smart. Esther, tomorrow, when we go to the park, could you tell me more about your daughter? I would like to know her through you. It would be an honor, Mr. Thompson. After Esther left, Richard was alone in the living room looking at the last traces of the improvised birthday party. The half-eaten cake, the colorful napkins, the sweet smell that still hung in the air. He went up to his office, where the desk was covered with important papers and documents. He looked at all of it, and for the first time in years, none of it seemed truly urgent. He picked up the phone and called his partner. "Michael, it's Richard. About tomorrow's meeting with the Americans, I'm going to have to reschedule." "Reschedule? Richard, are you crazy? This meeting was set 2 months ago." "I know, Michael, but I have a commitment with my son." "Your son? Richard, we're talking about millions of dollars." "I'm talking about my life, Michael. The meeting can wait." After hanging up, Richard Thompson sat in his imported leather armchair and looked out the window. Outside, New York City remained awake, with its endless traffic and lights that never went out. For years he had felt part of that frantic energy, that constant race for more money, more success, more recognition. Today, for the first time, he wanted to stop. His mind went back to the scene he had witnessed a few hours earlier. Esther with the cake, Timmy crying with disappointment, then smiling with joy. Simple moments that were worth more than any $1,000,000 deal. The corporate phone rang again. This time, he didn't even get up to see who it was. The next morning, Richard woke up earlier than usual, not because of an important meeting, but because he wanted to have breakfast with his son. When he went down to the kitchen, he found Esther already preparing the coffee, and Timmy sitting at the table, still in his pajamas, eating a slice of bread with butter. "Good morning, family," said Richard, and he noticed how natural the words sounded. "Good morning, Daddy. You woke up early." "I woke up to have breakfast with you. This is how it should be." Esther served Richard's coffee and sat at the table with them, something she had never done before. "Mr. Thompson, may I say something?" "Of course, Esther." "Yesterday, when I got home, I kept thinking about our conversation, and I want to thank you for the opportunity you're giving me. Esther, I'm the one who should be thanking you. You saved my family yesterday." "How so, Mr. Thompson?" "If you hadn't made that cake, if you hadn't taken care of Timmy, I might never have realized how much I was missing. You opened my eyes." Timmy, who was listening to the conversation while eating, interrupted. "Daddy, are we really going to the park today?" "Yes, son, right after school." "And is Aunt Esther coming with us?" "Of course she is." "And you're not going to answer the phone?" Richard took the corporate phone out of his pocket and turned it off in front of his son. "There is no phone today." Timmy's eyes shone with happiness. During breakfast, Richard learned more about his son's routine. He found out that Timmy liked orange juice, but only if it was strained, that he preferred French bread over sliced bread, and that he always saved a little piece of everything to give to the neighbor's dog when he left the house. "Timmy, you give food to the neighbor's dog?" "Yes, Daddy. Buddy is on the chain a lot, and I feel sorry for him." Richard looked at Esther, who smiled proudly. "He has a very big heart, Mr. Thompson. He always worries about others. Just like you, Esther." The morning passed quickly, and soon it was time to take Timmy to school. Normally the driver did this, but today Richard decided he would take him personally. "Daddy is taking me to school?" "Yes, son." On the way, Timmy wouldn't stop talking. He talked about his friends, his classes, his teacher. Richard realized that his son was an extremely communicative and social child, traits he had inherited from his mother. "Daddy, can I tell you something?" "You can tell me everything, son." "Sometimes when other parents pick up their kids from school, I feel like crying, because I never see you there." The boy's confession tightened Richard's heart. "Son, from today on, that's going to change. Daddy will pick you up from school whenever he can." "Really? Really?" At school, Richard met Timmy's teacher, a young woman named Ashley, who was surprised to see him. "Mr. Thompson, what a surprise to see you here." "Teacher Ashley, I want to be more present in Timmy's school life. He told me about the little play on Friday." "Oh yes, he's very excited. He's going to be a beautiful little fish. Will you be able to come watch?" "I wouldn't miss it for anything." "That's wonderful." Timmy always gets a little sad when he sees the other parents coming and his isn't there. Once again, Richard felt the weight of his absences. "Teacher, how is he here at school?" "Timmy is a wonderful child. Smart, affectionate, but sometimes a little quiet. I think he misses having his parents around. That's going to change. I promise." When he left the school, Richard met Esther, who was waiting for him at the gate. "Esther, you didn't have to come all the way here." "I wanted to, Mr. Thompson. I always come to pick him up when you or Mrs. Jennifer can't." "You pick him up from school?" "Yes, I do. He doesn't like to be on the school bus alone. He says the older boys make too much noise. One more thing Richard didn't know about his own son's life. Esther, how many times a week do you pick him up?" "Almost every day, Mr. Thompson. Mrs. Jennifer travels a lot, and you always have a meeting at that time." Richard stopped walking. Esther was practically raising his son all by herself, and he hadn't even noticed. "Esther, do you have other jobs besides ours?" "No, Mr. Thompson, I only work for you." "But you live far away. Is the money I pay you enough to live on?" Esther hesitated before answering. "Yes, it is, Mr. Thompson, I make do." "Esther, answer me honestly. Are you struggling?" "Oh, Mr. Thompson, who isn't?" "But I don't complain. You are a good family to me." Richard realized he had never worried about Esther's living conditions. He paid a salary he thought was fair, but he had never asked if it was enough. "Starting today, that's going to change too. You're going to get a raise, and we're going to review your whole situation." "Mr. Thompson, you don't have to." "Esther, you are raising my son. Of course I have to." They spent the morning at the mall buying a few things for Timmy and talking about life. Richard found out that Esther lived in a small apartment in Queens, that she woke up at 5 in the morning to get to work on time, that her dream had been to study nursing, but she never had the means. "Esther, it's not too late to make that dream come true." "Oh, Mr. Thompson, I'm already 52 years old. Who would want an old nurse like me?" 52 isn't old, Esther, and if it's your dream, we'll find a way to make it happen." "Are you serious?" "Yes, I am. We'll look into courses, scholarships, whatever it takes." Esther's eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Thompson, why are you being so good to me? Because yesterday you showed me what really matters in life, and I want to repay that." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like the video, and especially to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out, now continuing. When they went to pick up Timmy from school, the boy came running out and hugged them both. "Daddy! Aunt Esther! You came to get me together." "Yes, we did, son, and now we're going to the park, as promised." At the park, Richard had more fun than he'd had in years. He pushed Timmy on the swing, went down the slide with him, played ball on the grass. Esther joined in everything, laughing like a child. "Aunt Esther, will you get on the swing too?" "Oh, my little one, I'm much too old for the swing." "No, you're not. Daddy, tell her." Richard took Esther's hand and led her to the swing. "Come on, Esther. Today we are children." The three of them played at the park until the sun began to set. Timmy ran from one place to another, calling them both over to see every new thing he discovered. It was a pure and contagious happiness. "Daddy, this was the best day of my life." "For me too, son." "And for me too," added Esther. On the way back home, Timmy fell asleep in the back seat of the car. Richard and Esther talked quietly so as not to wake him. "Esther, today I understood something." "What, Mr. Thompson?" "I was so worried about giving Timmy a good life that I forgot to live life with him. But now you've realized it. That's what matters." "Yes. And I don't want to make the same mistake again." When they got home, Jennifer was in the living room, back from her trip to Washington, D.C. She looked at the three of them coming in together, Richard carrying Timmy in his arms, Esther carrying the toys they had bought. "Hi, how was your day?" "Jennifer, we need to talk." After putting Timmy to bed, Richard and Jennifer sat in the living room. Esther had discreetly retired to the kitchen. "Richard, about Timmy's birthday. I'm so sorry, I was so wrapped up in the project that—" "Jennifer, it's not just about the birthday. It's about us. About our family." "What do you mean?" "When was the last time the three of us did something together?" Jennifer thought for a moment. "I can't remember." "Exactly. And when was the last time we talked about anything other than work and appointments?" "Richard, where are you going with this?" "Jennifer, we have an amazing son. Smart, affectionate, full of dreams and fears. And we know nothing about him. That's not true. Yes, it is. Did you know he's in a school play on Friday? Did you know he feeds the neighbor's dog every day? Did you know he prefers French bread to sandwich bread? Jennifer fell silent. How do you know these things? Because I spent the day with him today, and I found out that the person who really knows our son is Esther. The cleaning lady. Don't just call her the cleaning lady, Jennifer. She's much more than that. She's the one who takes care of Timmy when we're not around. She's the one who remembers the birthdays we forget. She's the one who dries the tears we don't see. Jennifer lowered her head, emotional. You're right, I've been so focused on my career that... Jennifer, I'm not judging you. I'm in the same boat as you. But today I realized we can't go on like this. What are you suggesting? That we change. For real. That we put our family first. What about work? Work is important, but it can't be more important than our son. Jennifer cried silently. Richard, I'm afraid I've lost him forever. We haven't lost him, Jennifer. Timmy is still little. We still have time to make up for what we've lost. Do you really think so? I'm sure of it, but it has to be now. They talked late into the night, making plans to spend more time with Timmy, to reorganize their priorities, to be a real family. What about Esther? Asked Jennifer. Esther will stay with us, but now in a different way. She'll be, well, a second mother to Timmy. Do you think that's a good idea? Jennifer, she already is a second mother to him. We're just making it official. And she agreed? She did, on the condition that we are present too. Jennifer smiled for the first time in the conversation. She's wiser than both of us put together. Yes, she is. On Friday, Richard cancelled all his meetings and arrived at Timmy's school an hour before the performance. Jennifer was there too, as was Esther. Daddy, Mommy, Aunt Esther, you all came? Of course we came, son. We wouldn't miss your performance for anything in the world. The play was simple, but full of charm. Timmy played a little fish who got separated from his family in the ocean and had many adventures before finding them again. He was radiant on stage, waving to his parents after every line. He looks beautiful, whispered Jennifer, emotional. Yes, he does, agreed Richard. He's happy, observed Esther. It's been a long time since I've seen him so happy. After the performance, Timmy ran to hug all three of them. Did you like my performance? It was the best performance we've ever seen, said Jennifer. Really? Really, the three of them confirmed together. The teacher Ashley approached the group. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, what a joy to see you here. Timmy is absolutely beaming. We are too, replied Richard. Ashley, I want you to know that from now on, we will be more present in his school life. That is wonderful. It makes all the difference in children's lives. For lunch, they went to a restaurant that Timmy had chosen. It was a simple place, with home-style cooking, very different from the fancy restaurants Richard usually frequented. Why did you choose this place, son? Because Aunt Esther said the food here is just like her grandma's. Richard looked at Esther, who smiled timidly. My mother was a very good cook, Mr. Thompson. This place reminds me of her. Then it was the perfect choice, said Jennifer. During lunch, the four of them talked like a real family. Timmy talked about school. Jennifer spoke about the possibility of reducing her work trips. Richard announced that he had hired a partner to share the company's responsibilities. And is Aunt Esther really going to live with us? Asked Timmy. No, my little one. I will keep living in my own home, but I will spend more time with you all. And are you going to study to be a nurse? Yes, I am. Your daddy helped me find a night course. That's so cool. When you graduate, will you take care of me if I get sick? I will always take care of you, my angel, sick or not. Richard watched the interaction between Esther and Timmy and felt immense gratitude. That simple woman, with a big heart, had saved his family. Esther, do you have any plans for Sunday? No, Mr. Thompson. Why? How about we make that Brigadeiro fudge you all promised? All of us together? Asked Timmy excitedly. All of us together, confirmed Jennifer. And then we can watch a movie. And make popcorn. And make popcorn, laughed Richard. Months had passed since that night of the forgotten birthday. The Thompson family's life had completely changed. Richard had reorganized his company, hired more employees, and delegated responsibilities. Now he left the office at 6 p.m. every day and only brought work home in exceptional situations. Jennifer had negotiated with her company to reduce her trips and work more from home. When she did need to travel, it was for shorter periods. Esther had started the nursing course and was loving it. She continued working for the family, but now with a higher salary and different responsibilities. She was officially Timmy's special caregiver, and Timmy had become an even happier and more confident child. His drawings now showed a complete family, united, smiling together. "Daddy, can I tell you a secret?" said Timmy one night before bed. "You can tell me, son." "Remember my birthday wish?" "I do. You said you couldn't tell me what it was. It was for you to stop working so much and spend more time with me." "And do you think your wish came true?" "It did. You're with me almost every day now." "And how does that make you feel?" "Very happy, Daddy. Now I have you, Mommy and Aunt Esther. I have a giant family." Richard hugged his son tightly. "I feel very happy too, Timmy." "Daddy?" "Yes?" "You won't forget any more of my birthdays, right?" "Never again, son, I promise." And this time Timmy believed his father's promise. That weekend, the whole family got together to celebrate 1 year of the new life, as they had started to call it. It was a sunny Sunday, and they were in the backyard of the house, having a barbecue. "Esther, how is the course going?" asked Jennifer while preparing the salad. "It's going great, Mrs. Jennifer. Last week I got the highest grade in the class on the first aid test." "How wonderful!" exclaimed Richard. "And how are your classmates?" "Oh, at first they thought it was strange, a woman my age studying with them. But now they've already adopted me as the mum of the group." Timmy, who was playing with a ball in the garden, approached the group. "Aunt Esther, when you graduate, will you leave our house?" "Of course not, my little one. This is my family too. Thank goodness, because I don't want you far from me. And I don't want to be far from you either." Richard observed the scene and reflected on how his priorities had completely changed. 1 year earlier, he would have been at the office that Sunday, closing some important deal. Today, he couldn't imagine a better place to be than right there, with his family. "Richard," called Jennifer, "remember that proposal from the American company?" "I do." "Why?" "They called yesterday offering double the initial amount." "And do you think we should accept?" Jennifer looked at Timmy playing in the garden, at Esther helping in the kitchen, at that whole scene of domestic happiness. "I think we have everything we need right here." "I think so too." Esther approached them carrying a platter of stuffing. "Can I give my opinion about something?" "Of course, Esther. Your opinion is always welcome." "I think you made the best decision of your life. Money we can earn again. Lost time with family, that never comes back." "You're right," said Richard. "Actually, Esther, I have a proposal for you." "Another proposal, Mr. Thompson?" "Yes. How about if you became Timmy's official godmother?" "Official godmother? Yes. Jennifer and I talked and we want you to be his godmother, for real, with paperwork and everything." Esther began to cry. "Mr. Thompson, I don't know what to say." "Say yes," begged Timmy, who had overheard the conversation. "Please, Aunt Esther, I really want you as my godmother." "Of course, my little one, it would be the greatest honor of my life." "Then it's decided," said Jennifer. "Next week we'll take care of all the paperwork. And we'll have a party to celebrate," added Richard. "A party just for us?" asked Timmy. "A party just for us," confirmed the whole family in unison. That night, after Timmy went to sleep, the 3 adults stayed on the porch talking and watching the stars. "Esther," said Richard, "I want to thank you once again for everything you've done for our family." "Oh, Mr. Thompson, no need to thank me. I'm the one who's thankful you gave me a second chance to be a mother." "Second chance?" "Yes. After I lost my grace, I thought I'd never have the joy of taking care of a child again. Timmy gave me back that joy." "And you gave us back our family," said Jennifer. "You know what makes me happiest?" asked Esther. "What?" "It's seeing how you've changed. In the beginning, I was afraid it was just a phase, that soon you'd go back to being how you were before. And now? Now I see the change is real. You discovered yourselves as parents, and it's beautiful to see. You're the one who showed us the way, said Richard. No, I didn't, Mr. Thompson. I just lit a candle on the cake. The rest you did yourselves. The three laughed at the comparison. Esther, said Jennifer, do you think your daughter would be proud to see all this? I'm sure she would. Sometimes I feel her here with me, you know, as if she were approving of everything. She must be, agreed Richard, and she must be proud of the mother she had. At that moment, the three felt a peace and a completeness they hadn't experienced in a long time. It was as if all the pieces of a complex puzzle had finally found their places. 2 years later, Esther graduated from nursing school. The graduation party was at the Thompsons' house, with Timmy serving as the official master of ceremonies. Everyone, my godmother Esther is now a real nurse, announced the boy, just 7 years old, to all the guests. Esther wore her white uniform with evident pride. At 54, she had achieved a lifetime dream. Aunt Esther, said Timmy, approaching her, now that you're a nurse, will you take care of many children? Yes, I will, my little one. But you will always be the most special. Promise? I promise. Richard observed the scene and reflected on how that extraordinary woman had transformed not only his family, but also his own life. From a cleaning lady to a graduated nurse, from an employee to a beloved godmother, Esther had proven that it's never too late to start over. Esther, called Richard, can you come here a moment? Of course, Mr. Thompson. I have something for you. Richard handed her an envelope. What is this? Open it and see. Inside the envelope were the deeds to a small apartment in a neighborhood near the Thompsons' house. Mr. Thompson, I don't understand. It's yours, Esther. A graduation gift. But, Mr. Thompson, this is too much. No, it's not. You deserve this and much more. And now you'll live near us. Timmy can visit you whenever he wants. Esther cried with emotion, hugging Richard and Jennifer. How can I repay such kindness? You already have, Esther. You saved our family. And now you're officially part of it forever, added Jennifer. Timmy joined the group hug. Now you're my real godmother, with a house near mine and everything. Yes, I am, my little one, forever. 5 years had passed since that night of the forgotten birthday. Timmy was now 10 years old and was a happy, confident child full of dreams. Richard had found the perfect balance between work and family. Jennifer had become an even more respected executive, but without sacrificing important moments with her son. And Esther was a competent and beloved nurse who divided her time between the hospital and the family she had adopted. On a Sunday afternoon, everyone was gathered in the backyard, celebrating another one of Timmy's birthdays. This time, however, the celebration had been planned for weeks. Timmy, called Richard, before you blow out the candles, Daddy wants to say something. What is it, Daddy? 5 years ago you had a very sad birthday. Daddy wasn't present, Mommy was traveling, and only Aunt Esther remembered to celebrate with you. I remember, Daddy. That day our family was broken, but Aunt Esther, with her huge heart, helped us put the pieces back together. Timmy looked at Esther, who smiled emotionally. That's why, continued Richard, today we're not just celebrating your 10 years. We're celebrating 5 years of our real family. Our real family. Yes, son. The family that includes you, Mommy, Daddy, and Godmother Esther. The family that loves, respects, and is always present in important moments. Jennifer approached and added, Timmy, you taught us that family isn't just those who share the same blood. Family is those who choose to be present, who care, who love. Is that why Aunt Esther is our family? Exactly, they all answered together. Esther knelt down to Timmy's level, her eyes shining with emotion. My little one, when I started working for your parents, I was very sad. I had lost my daughter and thought I would never be able to love another child. And now? Now I know that love doesn't end when we lose someone. It multiplies. I love my Grace, who is in heaven, and I love you, who is here with me. I love you too, Godmother Esther. Very, very, very much. And I love you, my chosen family. Timmy blew out the 10 candles with force, closing his eyes to make his wish. What was your wish this year, son? Asked Jennifer. I wished for our family to always stay together and happy like this. That's an easy wish to grant, said Richard, hugging his son, because this union doesn't depend on magic. It depends on choice. And we all chose to be here. Forever? Asked Timmy. Forever, everyone answered in unison. As they cut the cake and talked about future plans, a feeling of gratitude hung in the air. Gratitude for a second chance, for a love that had blossomed in simplicity, for a family that had formed not by chance, but by choice. Esther looked up at the sky and whispered softly, "Thank you, Grace, for showing me that there was still so much love to give. Thank you for guiding me to this family." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the trees, as if it were a loving response from very far away. Mr. Thompson watched his family, Jennifer laughing at some joke Timmy had told, Esther patiently arranging the napkins scattered across the table, and realized he had found something no amount of money could buy, the genuine happiness of being exactly where you're meant to be, with whom you're meant to be. "What are you thinking about?" asked Jennifer, noticing her husband's thoughtful gaze. "I'm thinking we're very lucky." "Why?" "Because we managed to find each other before it was too late." Jennifer smiled and took his hand. "That's true, and we still have plenty of time ahead to be happy together." "Plenty of time," agreed Mr. Thompson, squeezing his wife's hand and watching Timmy teach Esther how to use the new cell phone he had received as a gift. On that golden Sunday afternoon, surrounded by the love they had built together, the four of them knew they had everything they needed for a fulfilling life, each other. End of story. Now tell us what you thought of this touching story about family and second chances. Do you believe Mr. Thompson made the right choices by prioritizing family? And Esther, wasn't it admirable how she turned pain into love? Leave your comment sharing your honest opinion about this story of new beginnings and togetherness. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one.